Friends, hello and welcome on TechGuruSpeaks.com. Today I would like to discuss about Java thread lifecycle. Now the following diagram illustrates the various states that a Java thread can be in during its life cycle, like in its life, and which method calls cause a transition from one state to another. Basically, there are 5 states in the Java thread lifecycle. Number one, newborn state, this one. Then comes runnable or ready to run state, that is this one. It is the second one. Third is running state. Number four is basically block state, and it will be having of 5 types like waiting, sleeping, suspended, blocked on IO, and blocked on synchronization. I will be describing each one of them one by one, and finally we will be having a dead state. So in that sense, we are having 5 different states in a Java thread in terms of its lifetime. Okay, so I'll be starting with the newborn state. So this is the newborn state. So whenever a new thread object is created, it is said to be in a newborn state. So at this state, the thread is not yet scheduled for running, and we can do only one of the following things with it, like schedule it for running using start method, or kill it using the stop method, this one. So either we can go for start method for running using, I mean to say, to schedule it for running using the start method, or kill it using the stop method. If scheduled, it moves to the runnable state, that means ready to run state. Attempting any other methods at this stage will cause an exception to be thrown. Now comes the second state, that is called the runnable or ready to run state. That means this one. A newborn thread moves to runnable or ready to run state with a call to the start method that we have written in the constructor of the class that we have defined earlier in the previous class. Whether I am trying to create the class by extending the thread class or by implementing the runnable interface, you must provide a call to the start method within the body of its constructor. So a call to start method will not immediately start threads execution, but rather will move it to pool of threads waiting for their turn to be picked for execution. The thread scheduler picks one of the runnable threads based on the thread priorities. So that is all about runnable state, that is second state. Now the third state being the running state. So whenever a particular waiting thread in the pool of threads is being selected for execution by the thread scheduler, it is considered to be in running state, and whenever a thread is running, it will be executing its run method. So the thread code is being actively executed by the processor. That is the idea. I mean to say, in running state. It runs until it is swapped out, becomes blocked, or voluntarily gives up its turn with this static method thread.yield. Like by using a call to this method yield, it can voluntarily give up its turn. So that is the idea of using yield method, and it will be moved to the runnable state. Like from running to runnable, it will be moving. It is to be noted that yield is a static method. Even if it is called on any thread object, it causes the currently executing thread to give up the CPU. So runnable and running, these are basically considered to be active thread. So next comes the fourth state, that is blocked. A running thread So remember the thing, in case of active thread, our thread in runnable state can move into the running state whenever it will be selected by the thread scheduler, but a thread which is in running state can voluntarily give up its run by calling the static method named yield. Now talking about the block state, a running thread can be moved to any of the following block state. So there are five. Number one, I mean to say, it is the first of the block state, that is called waiting. A call to the java.lang.objects wait method causes the current thread object to wait. The thread remains in waiting state until some another thread invokes the notify, so this one, or the notify all method of this object. So then its waiting will be over. So the current thread must own this object's monitor for calling the wait. So that is the idea. So next comes the, so whenever the waiting will be over, it will be moved to the running, not running state, it will be moved to the runnable state. Remember it. So it is one of the block state, that is called waiting. Then comes sleeping. So Java thread may be forced to sleep for some predefined time using some milliseconds, or it might be having another overloaded version like thread.sleep milliseconds, nanoseconds. So using any of the overloaded version of the sleep method, it can pause a currently executing thread object. So whenever its time will be over, say for example, if I am to use the fast overloaded version of the sleep method, so it will be basically providing the time in terms of milliseconds. Say for example, I have used here 500 milliseconds. So after 500 millisecond time is over, it will be moved to the runnable state. That means ready to run state. So it is second one for the block state. The third one is basically suspended. A running thread can be suspended using the suspend method. This one, a suspended thread, I mean to say a suspended thread can be revived by using the resume method. Now the fourth is called blocked on IO. A Java thread may enter this state while waiting for data from the IO device. The thread will move to ready to run state after the IO condition changes, such as reading a byte of data. So that is called blocked on IO. And the last substate of blocked state will be blocked on synchronization. A Java thread may enter this state while waiting for object lock. The thread will move to ready to run state when a lock is acquired. So this is about the block state, and it is having five substates like waiting, sleeping. For waiting, it is having wait, and it is related to notify or notify all. Then comes sleeping, it is related to sleep method, it is having two overloaded versions. Then comes suspended, it is basically related to suspend and resume. Then comes blocked on IO, and lastly the blocked on synchronization. So these are the five substates of the block state. Now comes the final state, that is called the dead state. A Java thread may enter this state when it is finished working, that means it has already executed all the statements in the body of its running method. That is, I mean to say, if a thread has executed all the statements inside the body of a run method, so that means what? It is called the natural death. So that is the most common one. However, we can kill a thread by calling the stop method. So this method called stop. So at any point of time, we can call the stop method and thereby causing a premature death to the currently executing thread object. Once in this state, the thread cannot ever run again. So that is the specialty of the dead state. Now one final point, you should remember this: the methods like suspend, this one, resume and stop, these methods have been deprecated, so it is better not to use them because they might create deadlock in terms of Java thread execution. So I will recommend you not, it is better for you by not using them in your program. So that is all about Java thread lifecycle. So in the next tutorial I will be talking about different threads running together. I mean to say multiple threads running together. So it will be an interesting topic to discuss. I hope that you have thoroughly watched this video, and if you like this video then please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Here comes the URL of my YouTube channel, and please visit my website techguruspeaks.com. You will get a lot of useful information here, and this is my official email ID. Have a nice day. Thank you very much.